A very good morning to you. Welcome to Good Morning East Africa. My name is Wangui Ngugi. Today's show is all about people living in the diaspora. A lot of Somalis have migrated to the diaspora, especially during the 1990s. And so far, so many of them are coming back. Why are they coming back? With us in studio is one of the many people who have left the country and have come back. Mr. Osman Ahmed, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for letting me up.
We are so happy to have you.
Thank you very much.
Welcome to CBA.
I'm happy to be.
I understand that you lived outside Somalia for around 45 years. That is a long time. When did you leave the country?
I left the country in 1997. At that time, I was working for Ministry of Agriculture. I was an assistant director. I left because of a single sentence, something that my superior at that time, my land manager, said. It upset me, and I was in Saudi Arabia within 6 months.
Oh, so you left because you did not feel comfortable from what he had said.
Exactly.
So how long did you live in Saudi Arabia?
I lived in Saudi Arabia for 15 years, and then I moved to UK. I lived in UK for about 28 years.
Oh, 28 years.
Yeah.
That is a long time.
That's a long time.
Is your family also there? Like, did you move with your family?
Yeah, the family are there. I've got my children who were born there. Some of them were born in Saudi Arabia. At the time when we left and moved there, our expectation was that we will be there only for about 1 year and come back. But things did not work the way we expected. So we stayed there for a long time.
Is it that life out there was better than here, or what made you want to overstay abroad?
It depends. There's a lot of advantages and a lot of problems there. But at the time when we moved there, it was imperative that we move. What happened was that when at the time we were working in Saudi Arabia, I was working in Saudi Arabia. I had my family there in Saudi Arabia, and the fighting and the war started in Somalia. At that time, because of the nature of precedents and other documentation in Saudi Arabia, people are held. We are there because we are under sponsorship of a work company. If we lose that job, we would not have had anywhere to go at all. We would have been deported. For that reason, the best option was to move abroad to UK so that we can live live safely. The issue, the paramount reason why we moved was because of the lack of security. If something happened and the company either became bankrupt or they lost all of their contracts or whatever, and we were sort of made redundant, we would not have been able to go anywhere. We would have come back into the middle of the fire. And that was very, very, very dangerous and difficult. That's why we moved to UK.
Actually, during the 1990 period, lots of Somalis left Somalia and went to the diaspora because they were escaping war. But when they went there, some went there and began the life of a refugee. How is life like, living in a foreign country?
I'll give you a little history about the Somali diaspora, how they came about. In the past, Somali diaspora has been moving abroad, one way or the other, since before the Second World War. The first batch that left was when Somaliland was ruled by the British. It was called Somaliland Protectorate. At that time, people who left were people who were not educated, and they always went to work in the merchant, as a merchant sailors. The merchant ships. They were all sailors there, and they had one particular reason why they went. They wanted to earn money and come back and improve their life, improve the life of their families, most probably buying camels. The second batch was when the bilateral agreements. People were sent abroad for scholarships to learn. These people also had a specific reason. They learned and they came back. The third batch was us who went as refugees. That there was no other than running away and seeking refuge and security. We had no plan. When we went there, we weren't seeking to get something, education or work. It was just flight out of fear. We are the most unsuccessful in that particular group. So the reason why we went there was just to escape threat of harm and lack of assurance for our life. And a lot of people went there. Here, the people who were living here at that time, they were running away they were under fire immediately. I remember when the fighting started here, I was in Saudi Arabia. It took me 1 month to locate my family and 5,000 reals of telephones to make sure, because they were in Hargeisa. When the fighting started, everybody just ran to the direction that they can run. And I don't know whether they were alive or not for over 1 month. So that was why people ran away. And airplanes were taking off from the airport, Hargeisa airport, and bombarding Hargeisa. People who were fleeing were being bombarded on the way while they are still in flight by Hauka hunters that has been sort of rented. And the pilots were all mercenaries. So that was what made people run. The other thing is that, and we have to thank the British government, because at that time when they saw what was happening here, they allowed people to come, and they were being given residence immediately, and they were allowed to bring their all, family. Family reunion was very, very easy. Later, a lot of people came from other places. At that time, the focus was in Somaliland, because this had a strong connection with UK. This was called Somaliland Protectorate, and it was under British rule since 1884. So because of the fact, having known and understanding what was happening, they opened the doors for all of the people from Somaliland who were at that time fleeing, and were allowed to bring as family reunion all of their families. That were a lot of people before went.
So finally you settled, like people settled abroad in the UK, in Finland, and many other countries where they fled to. So after settling, they began earning money. They worked abroad, and some even gained knowledge because they went for education, they got scholarships. Now, having gotten the money and the education, what is making people want to come back now to Somalia?
First of all, it's true that people who went there and settled, they started earning money, working. I particularly work for a Kwango organization and the health authority as a health development worker. And then later I worked for another organization called Mental Health Foundation as a project manager. And later I set up my own businesses. That was because we were given opportunity. Unlike many African countries, even unlike Somaliland now, you could set up your company within 24 hours. And you are allowed. We didn't need work permits, because we are already settled. The day that you are given your residence, you can work and do whatever you like. So all of the people who had the knowledge and the technical know-how to set up businesses, set up businesses. There are a lot of booming businesses there. They have got restaurants, they have got shops, they have got contracts, they have got other things. A lot of people work. At the same time, there are a large number of the refugee community that have lost their ways, that only chukat, sit around. And you will find people who have been there for more than 30 years who have not worked, never, and still on the social benefits. All of them have not survived. Some of them lost. But the people all of the people, whether they work or not, everybody had a strong connection with home, and everybody wanted to come back. Everybody has got this aspiration to come back. People who had the means, even now, people who have not worked, who are on dole or on social services, social support, bring their families here, their children here. Every summer you will see flocks and flocks of people coming from abroad and coming in for 1 month and going back, having saved that trip little by little, which they could ill afford. So first there was this strong connection, and this is strong desire to help the people that we have left, sending money to the families, to the uncles, to family members, and even participating in clan support, because there we have got social systems that when something happens to one, everybody has got to pay part of it. We pay from there, we send it from there. You are not, even when you are away, you are part of that. You have to contribute because of cultural obligations.
Now, speaking of sending money home, a lot of money comes in to Somalia and Somaliland from the diaspora. It is estimated that it's about like $2 billion a year, which is far much more than even what the country gets from foreign aid. And don't you think that the people who are being sent to this money, like the people who are in Somalia and Somaliland, depending on money from the diaspora, are becoming a generation of people who do not want to work hard, because after all, money is being sent.
Exactly.
That is why they are not innovative. They do not start up businesses, because they depend on their families abroad.
Yeah, it's right. You are right. Almost everybody send money to their relatives. I must say that women folks are much more enabled and better in actually thinking about the people back. Either they take money from, the family members or husband or relatives or brothers, and these are the people who are always bugging everybody. Somebody's sick, somebody's that, and sending. A lot of money is sent. A lot of families are actually send their life income from abroad. But it's not true that all of them have become dependent on this one. There are people who have been sent $100, I know. And from that $100 they were being sent a month, collected, and have hundreds of thousands worth businesses now today, starting from that 100. There are people, of course, who just took out and keep on calling this man and the other one.
Yeah, send me more money for cat.
One day they send their cousin, the other day they send their uncle, the other day they send their brother there or a sister there. So they're getting a lot of money while they're not doing much. That's true. But the diaspora has made a lot of financial input in this country. For instance, the building sector, the people who kick-started the construction in this country are diaspora, because people collected money and everybody wanted to have a home here. In mid-90s, you would see all of the buildings that are being built was for diaspora. Subsequently, that dried up because everybody can only build a house, one house. Nobody wants to have 3 houses. And when that was over, people realized that I'm sending money, I'm building a house, and only coming during the summer. At the beginning, people brought their family. My family were here for about 7 years, 6 years. I brought them here. And when the children started the age of, secondary, GCSE, because there weren't any examination boards or accredited systems, they had to go back. And they never came back. Occasionally they visit. They came back. So after people set up their homes here, and they don't live here for long. It's just 1 month or 2 months a year. All of the rest, there was a watchman that you were. But people started, why don't we get into business? So then that's when the business started. Realization that you have frozen all of your assets in a house that you no longer use, that somebody else is living in. And you are, on top of that, you're paying money monthly for the watchman. So most of the people then thought about this idea of setting business and came originally become partners with people that are here who are doing something, and they put a bit of share. Case in the point is Telesom. This big, the majority of the people who are here who have shares are from abroad, and that businesses gradually started. Needless to say that some of them were sort of were not successful, but now people are coming back. Okay, go ahead. And
you also came back.
Yeah, I came back.
So you came back and you started a business here.
Yeah.
You are the CEO or the founder of D.O.P yogurt.
Yeah.
So when did you establish this company?
First, I had an idea, this idea to set up. I wasn't thinking about D.O.P or anything at the time, but I wanted to set up. So every year, once a year, I used to come during the holiday and then explore the possibilities. And then when I go back, then something, because of the life there and the children, it was difficult to come back early, and that idea would be lost, and then another time when you come. So I was just struggling, taking ideas and then losing that one and coming back. In the end, when the children grew up, and I wasn't, needed there a lot. Otherwise, my wife wouldn't have let me come in, come here. So that's when we decided, collectively together, that let's think about, because we need to come back. So we have to have something in place when we move back. We just can't move for good here, and you have nothing here.
Yeah.
So we came back, explored it. Having my background in the biological sciences, I wanted to set up something that I know. In fact, I also did a lot of research, read about it, understood the processes, what it needs, what entails, the ingredients. Then something that you will be able to control, to understand, and to make decisions. And then I realized that, and I visited one time in Turkey, and I drank the yogurt drink that they do in Turkey, which is called ayran. And I thought, why can't I make ayran in Somalia? I came, but I realized that ayran, the way that Turkey makes, is not the type of the yogurt that they do here. I know yogurt was done for years and years. My grandma used to do yogurt.
Yeah, the traditional yogurt.
Traditionally, I remember because we used to go to the rural areas every year. My father used to send us there, put us in a Land Rover and just go there, even past the villages, straight to a camp, nowhere, in the middle of nowhere. And yogurt was produced, but I wanted a yogurt that is stable, that is properly processed, that's hygienic, that's useful for all of the people, like the one that I use in the UK. And that's the one that we set up. At the beginning, it was very, very difficult. Money was very, very tight. We got something from here, with all of that, and then getting off ground, the product was immediately accepted. But then to be able to distribute in all of the city, it had to grow. My motto was that we have to have something that's quality and also value for money. When we started this yogurt, the one that's like it, the same size, 400 grams, was imported from abroad. At that time, it was sold in the shops for $4 each cup. But we decided to sell it to the distributor, to the supermarket, for $0.8 of a dollar.
Oh, that
because
was really
affordable. We wanted to have wider affordability. A lot of people should be able to afford it. So that economy of scale have a very, very, very small amount of profit, but have a wider people who are able to buy, and alhamdulillah, it's now operating well.
So you've come back to Somaliland, you have the money, you have the knowledge, but where did you get the resources to produce this yogurt? Because yogurt, the basic ingredient for yogurt is milk. So did you have challenges obtaining the milk from Somaliland? How about the expertise? Because you need people who are knowledgeable, especially when it comes to hygiene. You know, milk is very perishable, and the hygienic standards need to be very high.
Definitely.
So where did you get the milk from?
First of all, yogurt it's always needs milk. But milk is very hard to come by in Somaliland. And also the supply of quality. There is difficulty in getting consistency of supply and consistency of quality, because there are no dairy farms that you can just go and have an agreement with and then they supply you. Animal is sort of herded around, it's a nomadic. And they are grazing open lands, different plants. So the quality would not be suitable.
It's not standard.
It's not standard. You will have different flavor every few months or every week. Secondly, consistency of supply, because the animals are moving about. I can't have a mobile factory that goes wherever they go.
Everywhere they are, you follow them.
In fact, I thought about it. Believe you me, I thought that, but then it was difficult. So when we researched it and while we were thinking about it, we realized that most of them, even the UHT milk that's here is produced from milk powder. And a lot of yogurts use milk powder. Very, very few places, except places where there is a lot of milk in Europe and maybe in Kenya, maybe in other African countries. It's very, very difficult to go. So we decided to use the milk so that we can standardize our taste, our quality, our supply, and all of that. But the milk powder required for this is a very high quality milk powder. Because milk powder now in the tins that sometimes you see in the shops, some of them contain soybean. In fact, any milk powder with the name name instant have some level of
so it's not
soybean.
Pure milk.
It's not pure,
it has additives.
Because soybean is hydrophilic. It absorbs milk and it makes it quickly. It makes this dissolving very, very quick. That for that purpose they add. And it becomes very, although people in other countries, they make yogurt from soybean itself. But since our product, the product that we want to come to be only for milk, it became imperative that we use, or forced to use milk. If we tried to have our own dairy farm on its own is a project. It's a multi-million project. So we could not, either we do the dairy farming only, forget about
the production.
In terms of the technology, from the onslaught, from the beginning, we wanted to have something that's pure and clean and hygienic. So all of the tanks, the fermentation tanks are all stainless steel. The cup filling and sealing machines are all stainless steel. The tables, everything, the mixing, the cooling, everything. So all of these are stainless steel. These are not produced in Somaliland. You can't, there's even, I haven't ever seen a stainless steel sheet anywhere in Somaliland. So
in fact, even when you see these milk sellers, they do not use stainless steel containers to transport the milk. Like they use plastic.
They use plastic, and there has been a lot of people. You know, there has been discussions about it. There are a lot of NGOs that are trying to help, you know, and get this project. But at the end of the day, my feeling is that it has to come from the government, because there has got to be minimum standards set by the government or by some authorities that makes it imperative, that obligates the people who are supplying the milk to use these tins, or tin cans, or jugs, or something like that are stainless steel, or aluminium. Even if aluminium is cheaper than stainless steel. So this is if there is no standard and if there is no enforcement, then people will go for the minimum. And all of these are nomadic people who just have this free from oil or from something, and a lot of people complain about it. They know, everybody knows, but then because of a lot of requirement for gradual change and educating the people and making the people understand. Even if today that law is passed, it's going to be very difficult to implement it, because people don't understand, and everybody will riot and say, why am I being forced? Who cares? I don't care. The people who are drinking don't understand that that's not hygienic. So there needs to be awareness raising, a lot of awareness raising in terms of all of this production, whether it is in small scale or large scale. And in the long run, I hope that we reach that level sometime.
Other than yogurt, what else are you making? Are you making other products from milk?
Yeah, we had a few other products that we wanted to make. That was tire retailing, and we also wanted to make paint production. But we had problem with the land and constructions. Now we hope we have already set in place factory for production of UHT, ultra heat treatment UHT milk, and we expect to launch this in the coming 2 months.
Wow.
Machinery are here. Even the manpower has been recruited from Kenya. Milk specialists, refrigeration technicians, metal fabrications, because all of these technicians, because of the low skill of the country, we are forced to have people, particularly from outside, because the refrigeration technicians are very hard to come by, and people are just starting to learn, because most of the schools, they either go to university, lawyer, business administration, all of that, but the technical know-how is not has not got off ground. And that hopefully will start in the coming 2 months. We are just waiting for final installations to be completed.
How has branding, you have branded yourself very well. If I go to the supermarket, I will be able to identify yogurt or a product from D.O.P. How has branding enabled you to maintain your customers, and how important is branding?
Branding is very, very important. We from the beginning, we wanted to have a product that's associated with quality, that's associated with value for money. And we have chosen this name, D.O.P, which comes from Quran. Kulu min D.O.P ma razaqnakum. Eat from the goodies that we have provided. This word comes from the Quran, D.O.P. And D.O.P is going to be, we wanted to build that brand from the first product. Gradually, we have never advertised the yogurt. We have never advertised it in any TV or in any radio or in anything. We chose to have it advertise itself. That was part of brand building. Now that brand is associated by everybody, whether they come from abroad or they are people from Somaliland, or whether people, even we have people come to us from USA, said that this recipe has been stolen from not from UK, from USA. He said, I've never been to US in my life. How could it be? So we are all of these processes is we haven't had any expertise from abroad for the yogurt. For the UHT is going to be, because it has got to be long shelf life in ambient temperature for up to 6 months. In that case, we need high quality people. But we rely on ingredients from Dubai, a company in Dubai which is a representative for a company in Holland. We get some of the cultures and things like that, and they also support us in many ways, and we are very, very grateful for that company, because they're very, very friendly company. They help us a lot. We work with them as well. We never move it from day one. We just buy from them regardless of whether the price goes up or not.
Well, you are doing a great thing in this economy, because other than just investing in a business, you have created employment, and you're ensuring that the people are living a nutritious life because you're providing nutrition. What would you tell other people who are in the diaspora? Should they come back? Should they bring their knowledge here and invest in Somaliland? Should we rebuild the country, or should we just enjoy the good life abroad?
No, I think it's very, very, very important. If they have any concern or any compassion for the Somali people or relatives or Somalia, that they think of actually, first of all, coming and feeling, because when you are abroad, you just read from the news, all of those negative news clips and all of those. But when you come here, if you persevere, the first 1 month, when we compare everything with what we are left, why don't they remove this dirt? Why don't they do this? Why don't that? After the first 1 month, you acclimatize. You become part of the culture, part of the landscape, and then you will understand a lot of things. Of course, at the beginning, when you come, everybody will ask for money.
Yeah, you came from where the money is.
Walking dollar.
Yeah.
But after a while, after a few months, you become part of the landscape.
Yeah.
People see you as who you are, as a human being, as a relative, and then you can invest. But what's of utmost importance is that you really do the research. You seek advice from people who have gone through that process, and I'm sure that you will be rewarded if you do it right. But you have got to be realistic, objective, and truthful to yourself, and bring something that's good for the people.
Yes. Well, it was nice having you. I have learnt a lot from you, and congratulations for the impact you're making in Somaliland. Your business is amazing. And to all of you who are out there in the diaspora, you heard it from him. Somaliland is a great place that you should invest in. Let us bring all that knowledge that we have gained outside here in Somaliland and rebuild our country. That's the end of our show. Have a wonderful day.